What about if you don't have access to a track? Then you panic and run screaming until you can find one. Do you run 5k every week but have found yourself hitting a real wall when it comes to bringing the time down? If you're desperate to get a PB, this video is for you. I'm Kate, this is Anna, and today we're going to get you a 3.1 mile PB and bask in that triumphant glow.
Don't forget to subscribe to the running channel so you get notified every time we upload more videos like this one. Right, so this is going to sound a little bit simplistic, but the only way to run faster is to run faster. So by committing to doing regular speed intervals, you will see your speed creeping back up. And the key is consistency. So make sure you keep doing it every week.
You can do this on a track, and you can look at our video on track training for more on that, or just anywhere where you've got space, roads, a park, anywhere where you can run without having to stop all the time. You also do not need a fancy GPS watch. If you've got one, that's great, but all you really need is a digital watch. One thing, however, you really do need is willpower and the ability to get out of your comfort zone.
So what is interval running? Well, it's running short bursts at a faster speed and then doing some walk or jog recoveries in between. One thing to note when you are doing an interval session is not to start out too hard, because otherwise you'll crash and burn and you won't be able to complete the whole session. The key is to maintain your intensity the whole way through the session. And also, because you're going to be running a bit faster than normal, it's really important that you warm up properly. So maybe try and do a few drills beforehand as well.
Remember to run those intervals at your target 5k pace, maybe not your current one. Also, don't start them at world record pace, because that will not end well. Now, you can do any number of different varieties of that volume on the track. You could do 8 times 600 meters, or you could do a pyramid where you start at 200 meters and climb up in 200 meter increments up to 1200 meters and then down again. So that's 200, 400, 600, 800, 1k, 1200, and then back down the other side. If you're doing this once a week over a period of months, you can try all these different varieties, do a different one each week.
And another thing that you could think about as well is doing these sessions at a higher volume than your 5k. So for example, doing an 8k volume altogether, because then you'll be going a little bit further than your total race.
What if you don't have access to a track? Well, that's fine. You just convert the distances into times. So you might be doing, say, 10 times 2 minutes of effort or 3 times 8 minutes. Doesn't really matter as long as you keep that consistency. One thing that does really help though is if you can find a long straight bit of road or a park that you can run around without having to stop all the time for traffic lights or lots of people.
If the area that you're running in is mixed terrain though, or there are some hills, then just don't focus on hitting that pace. So for example, if there are hills that you're running, you might be running up to a minute per mile slower, but it's okay because you're still maintaining that same intensity. It'll just be at a slower pace. So what about recoveries? Well, of course you are going to need to have some time to catch your breath and mentally prepare for the next rep too. But just remember, if you are preparing to run a whole 5k at this pace, then you don't want to have too long of a recovery.
Yeah, that's right. Aim for something like a minute and 90 seconds between your reps, depending of course on how long they are. A decent rule of thumb when you're starting on interval training is to take half the rep time as your recovery time. So if you do a 4-minute rep, have a 2-minute recovery. The aim being to cut down that rest time as you get more used to it. Train for the course. If the parkrun or the 5k that you're going for your PB in is muddy, damp and hilly, then go and train in those conditions. There's not much point going and banging out beautiful 400 meter reps on a pristine track if you're actually going to be racing through a bog in cross-country spikes.
If there's a particular hill that's your nemesis, go and do hill reps on it, try it out. Hill reps basically are interval sessions, but uphill instead. They'll help you build your strength, and you can do hill sessions super easy. Try doing them to time, so 30 seconds uphill, a jog recovery, repeat times 10.
On the day of your PB attempt, go for it. Getting a 5k PB is all about being committed from the start. But it's also about balance. You don't want to go out so fast that you're just going to die after a mile and you can't sustain it. But you do also not have a huge amount of time to kind of make up for lost time if you get off to a slow start. So try to start off at the pace you intend to sustain throughout. If you have a friend who is faster than you, then maybe enlist their services as a pacer. They can help keep you consistent throughout. Also, a lot of parkruns now have official pacers, so maybe check if your local one has that.
Remember to keep your head in the game as well. Don't let negative thoughts creep in like I'm out of breath or I can't do this, because as soon as they do, they can completely throw you off your game, and then you'll see your PB attempt vanish before your eyes. So make sure you try and stay positive, maybe try and keep a mantra in your head that will keep you going. And if it does go wrong, don't worry, you've learned something. You can then take what you've learned and not do it the next time. The great thing about a 5K is it doesn't take too long to recover from it afterwards either. Hopefully there are some tips there that will help you run a faster 5K. If you've got any questions for us or any comments, leave them below, and we'll see you next time on the Running Channel.